We begin in New Brunswick, where Premier Blaine Higgs is facing down a rebellion against his leadership.
When you have cabinet ministers that take a position against the government in the legislature, voting against in the legislature, it's very significant. Cabinet confidentiality, cabinet support, and is paramount.
In a cabinet shuffle today, Premier Higgs has ousted 2 ministers who publicly oppose his gender policy in schools. 2 other ministers resigned over that policy and Higgs' leadership style. Higgs may have a new cabinet, but he's still facing a revolt within his caucus and the PC party. Premier Blaine Higgs, thanks so much for joining us.
You're very welcome, David. Good day.
So a lot has happened since you and I last spoke. I wonder, sir, why do you think so many people in your party want you to quit?
Well, I think that certainly there's a different view in the membership and throughout the province, but we do have some challenges. I mean, current issues are creating very strong views on either side, and I'm on the other side when I guess I'd say other side of caucus, and of course that's it's difficult, and I appreciate that. But we do the support of majority of caucus to deal with some of the more sensitive items, and so that's why we're working through this. And it's not, it is, I'm never obviously happy when someone quits and walks away, because the way we find balance and the way we respect each other's views in doing so is how we improve democracy. And so it's unfortunate, but we'll have to deal with it as it comes.
But you've shuffled a couple of people out of your cabinet today. You've lost a couple of people out of your cabinet over the last couple of weeks, but they're still in your caucus. Is that a sustainable situation to have people who are such dissidents about your leadership still within your party caucus?
Well, I guess I'm obviously hoping that we can set some of our differences aside and we can work towards what's happening here in New Brunswick. I mean, we've had phenomenal growth here and changes in our province that we haven't seen for generations, and so it's like, let's not lose that momentum. Let's not lose sight of the bigger picture. Let's let our party issues, be discussed as party issues, and let's decide how we manage it going forward. So I think the public are, very much behind certainly what we're doing, and I think that'll play a big role in everyone's writing as they speak to members and their constituents and say, okay, well, I may have a view or I may have a different view, but I understand that I'm here to represent my constituents, and that's what we do. That's who we are, and I feel that we're certainly seeing that broad-based support throughout the province, and I'm hopeful that will carry over into caucus, and we will find our paths forward together.
But you say you hope you can set your differences aside. A lot of the critics who have gone public say their differences are with your leadership style, that you're too autocratic, you're not a team builder. People on the party executive have accused you of basically being unhinged and shouting at people in private meetings. I mean, do you need to change your leadership style to put those differences aside?
Well, certainly, David, I believe I need to modify some of my I guess issues that I've been criticized for. I'm far from perfect. I certainly like to see things get done. I like to see us move forward. I like to see progress in a timely manner. And I think many of the criticisms may be a bit over dramatic because it really kind of started with the policy around 713. But let me be part of the solution too. And let others in my caucus also recognize that we can all find paths together, and I believe I need to be part of the solution. So I'll do my part.
You mentioned policy 713, which is to do with trans kids in the school system. This has been criticized by the Prime Minister. It's been criticized by activists across the country who say you're on the wrong track. I know you've argued that this is an important step for parental rights and parental input in the use of pronouns for their children, for example, in school. But the criticism has been that if these kids don't necessarily have the best home life, that this policy change exposes them to some acute risk. I mean, what do you say to the people who say you're on the wrong track when it comes to this policy?
Well, certainly our goal is to find a balanced approach here, and I'm sure that within the school system there would be recognition of some home lives that are not maybe what they need to be. And we need to be cognizant of that, ensure that everyone has a safe place and that comes to our school system. But it also is relevant that a policy should not automatically suggests that all parents are not able to be part of their children's growth and as they move through different ages and different phases. And so I in their bringing life-bringing experiences and in their school activities, I mean, there's so many things that parents need to have a voice in and would require permission. So you kind of say, it seems strange that we're having this sort of discussion that parents should not be part of their children's upbringing in this regard. But to find the balance where we have, you know, the right school counselors, guidance counselors to work with both parents and the kids. Because to have a policy in that elementary school kids, the policy actually hides information from parents. You know, that doesn't seem right. And basically, where a parent could come to a school program or could come into a parent-teacher day, and information would be removed and hidden from them. We shouldn't put teachers in that position. So we have systems in place. We have guidance counselors. We may need more. So we work through that with a balance. But I think fundamentally, I find it surprising that we have a policy that actually would exclude parents as a general rule.
Right, but it sounds like you're not prepared to change this current policy from the path it's on now, despite the criticism and despite the controversy it's unleashed.
Well, David, to the contrary, I'm seeing huge support, majority of citizens and comments, and we're having just a tremendous outpouring of support everywhere I go. But I think even not only in New Brunswick, but even nationally, people are saying, well, why wouldn't parents play a role here? So I think that it has become public now that what was actually happening. There were programs, professional development days, where it was clearly advertised what was happening in the schools. Whether it be the policy, how the policy works, whether it be story time issues or curriculum issues, wherever that goes. But the idea is parents need to be involved, and we're seeing huge support publicly to address the situation in a balanced way.
But what if this policy exposes a kid to harm at home? I mean, yes, parents should be involved. I mean, that's why they're parents, but they should be doing that in their home, should they not? And that should be a normal part of raising your child and creating an environment where your child would want to talk to you. But in these circumstances where maybe mom and dad or one or both isn't or on board or supportive of this, doesn't your policy risk exposing them to something that could be harmful to them in the long run?
Well, through our social development programs, I mean, we would know if there are situations at home, and if the child says, I can't go home and talk to my parents about this, then the purpose here is not to put that burden on the teacher to have secrets and keep secrets from parents, but is to say, okay, we'll need to set this up with a guidance counselor. And with the appropriate trained individuals that say, okay, we're going to work with the child to ensure there's a safe space. And we're going to work with the parents, understanding that may not be the safe place for this particular child. And we'll find that balance as we go forward. But to go for, in elementary school kids, to go for months, years, keeping secrets from parents, that's a fundamentally an issue that we say, families are important to our very fabric of our society. And when you take that away, it's like, how do we protect children of all types? How do we protect children that are at risk? How do we keep that continuity of families within our very fabric of society?
So Premier, just in the 30 seconds we have left, you've made changes to your cabinet today. You believe that public opinion is on your side with the controversial policy that unleashed a lot of the controversy inside your caucus. Are you intending right now, will you lead your party into the next election in New Brunswick?
Well, I can appreciate why you asked that question, and I guess I'm prepared to see some of the things that we have right now in the hopper in our province. I've put in new portfolios here around mental health and addiction, very important to us. The Ministry of Seniors, our new housing strategy. There's some fundamental things that I want to get fixed, and so I'm not going to put a timeline on it, David, or what my future holds right now. But I'm very committed to making the changes necessary to keep our province moving in the direction it's moving.
Premier Blaine Higgs, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.